Howdy folks, we're back out in the shop today and we  got another small project we are going to get done. Let's get after it. Okay, so for today's project, this is going to be a project for us. We're continuing to work on the small projects we need to get done before the burn table gets here. We're down to a couple weeks now before the ship date, so today we're going to try and get a shelf built. The shelf is going to be to hold the plasma power source and then the air dryer right next to it. I'm just going to put them both on one unit. We'll show you guys right now what we've got done so far. So if you look right here, Bridger's already started working on cutting some of the material out. He's got the main frame material cut out. It's 40 inches by 12.5. It's just 2-inch by 2-inch, 1/8 angle. We're gonna lay some 1/8 plate in the bottom of it, and then we're gonna have some legs. And then while we're at it, we're going to build a shelf underneath it so we can stack our stainless and aluminum material underneath it, just try to be more organized. So now we're going to show you what we've been up to the last couple days. We got some other projects going on that are in the works, but we don't have a PO yet. And until we get a PO, we can't really start on them. So the timing of it's kind of perfect because some of these other things that I've wanted to get done for the shop, we're able to get done now. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we were able to get all the conduit in. Our plasma outlet is done. We also added our welder outlet and it's also ready to go. Now the reason I wanted another welder outlet here, if I want to be able to weld something or air arc or run the plasma or whatever outside, this will be perfect because I'll be able to plug it in, run my leads outside and blow all that sparks and everything outside and not have to make the mess in the shop. Total cost for the 2 circuits, disconnects, outlets, conduit, breakers, everything, we were honestly about closer to $2 grand. It is expensive to set up a shop so that it's user friendly, but once it's set up, it's really a long-term thing. Now that we've got those in, the power side is already ready for the burn table and we're all set up with that. We are going to start working on the airline today, but the first order of business is we want to get this shelf / tray built, and we're going to get it set up. And we've got the air dryer. We'll probably get the air dryer over there, start running the piping, and get everything pretty much hooked up. So let's go over and see what we got left to do on this frame. All right, so we got our frame here. They're just set on the table. We do have to go through and clean up these joints, bevel them, and get them all prepped up to fit. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, we're ready to start fitting this up. Just going to square all 4 corners. We're going to check, see how square it is by pulling our tape both directions. And it is right on the money. So we'll get some more tacks on this and then we'll start welding it out. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing these outside corners first, and I just whip them downhill. Just some advice for some of you guys starting out. If you're running short arc a lot, I always like to have a pair of welpers laying around. I like to clip the stick out off so it's nice and short because it gives you a crisper start. If it's sticking out 1/2 inch and it's got a little gray ball on the end of it, chances are the tip's going to bounce when you go to start. So you want to cut that off. Then when you start, it's a nice crisp start and you don't have it.
It's time for today's super cool tool.
Alright guys, so for today's super cool tool, we're going to be talking about these little babies right here. And these right here, well, they have a couple names. If you want the legit Google on the internet name, probably going to be under welding pliers. But if you go on the job site with any sort of fabricator or welder who's been doing it a while, they're going to know these as welpers. And the reason everybody calls them welpers is because they're welders' helpers. I'm not lying. That's a legit true story statement. So welpers are what these are referred to welders and fabricators. But if you're going to look them up online and order a pair for yourself, probably Google welding pliers and that's what'll pop up. So there's a lot of different brands. I'm not even sure what brand these ones are. This has been a good set for me. I did buy them at my local welding store. I'll have you guys come in a little closer here in just a second and I'll show you the features that these pliers have that just a regular pair of pliers do not have. So let's take a look at it. So this is what they look like. Okay, they've got all sorts of little grooves and knobs and stuff. So the reason they have such a funky shape is because pretty much everything on these has a purpose. You'll notice that the nose of the pliers is very skinny. That's for reaching into tight places like the nozzle of your gun and being able to pull things out. You can grab the welding wire and pull it out with these. I use them for that all the time. You can see they are knurled in here. Hopefully you can see that. They're knurled in there. So they do grab the wire pretty well. Okay, so there's a little bit, if I close these, the little opening that you see right here, the purpose that has is when you're running your MIG gun and it's time to change your tip, if they're blistering hot, sometimes they're so hot that you can't even grab them with gloves on. So you take that, and it is also knurled, and you can grab it and spin that off, and then go ahead and unscrew that, slap a new one on. You can tighten it a little bit if you want with that. Now if we move down the pliers, there's some cutters right here. I'd say one of the biggest uses that I have for these is the cutters. When you run short arc MIG, a lot of times after you run a pass, you'll end up with a little teeny ball on the end of the wire. Hopefully you guys can see that, but there's a little teeny ball on the end of that. That little teeny ball can cause you a lot of grief. So if you don't clip that off before you restart, a lot of times the tip will bounce, so you'll go to start, and when that ball hits, I don't know if it's that there's mill scale buildup and it doesn't quite make contact, so it doesn't start the arc crisply, but your tip will bounce and then it will cause spitting, spattering. Sometimes a ball of molten metal will kind of pop off of there and land right against the tip where the wire comes out and cause all sorts of issues. So you can take these cutters after every time. Usually I just have a habit of clipping those off before I start each time. And my stick out is really small. You can see that. So it's really tight. I like to keep my stick out really tight. When you start getting it too long, that's when it pops and spits and spatters and stuff. So that's the next thing that these are handy for. Okay, if we move down, there's an even bigger opening here at the base. Okay, now those can be used when you are welding and this nozzle is hotter than a firecracker and you can't touch it, so you can slide your pliers over there like so and use that to loosen those, and I've used them for that many times as well. These little square pieces on the sides, I'm not really sure if those have a specific purpose. I have used them for tapping things, or sometimes you can take your welding wire and tap on it if it's stuck, and it will break it free so that you can continue to use that tip. So keep that in mind. I don't know that that's a legit use for it, but that's sometimes what I use it for. The other big use that they have, if you unscrew the nozzle, you can see that this one has quite a bit of buildup. I'm a stickler for that. I try to keep that really clean. That's about as much buildup as I let the nozzle have. But when they do get a little bit of buildup, you can take the nose of this and it will slide right inside the nozzle. And then if you take and twist, it knocks all that buildup off. Gives you a nice clean nozzle. And everybody that welds a lot knows nobody likes to walk up to a welder that was just used by someone else and they haven't been cleaning their nozzle. So it's built up to the point where the gas isn't hardly even making it through the nozzle. So these right here, welding pliers, welpers as most of us know them. That is a super handy tool. It's something that you definitely want in your shop if you're going to weld. Go to your welding supplier, go to Amazon, you'll be able to find them. Price range, you're talking anywhere from $25 up to $50. I do like this style. There's a couple different styles, but I like that it has a spring. Get yourself a pair of welpers, check them out. They're going to make you a better fabricator, which in turn is going to make you a better welder. And it'll keep you from pissing off the guys you work with because you'll keep your MIG gun clean. That's going to wrap up today's super cool tool. Let's get back to the project. Welpers, get you a pair. How many of these circles? I'm just going to do the same thing with them down here. Okay, so the last ones left to do are just these ones on the inside. Now keep in mind, we're going to put plate in this. So I want this to be as flat as possible. So I'm going to run a small one on the inside, and I'm going to keep it as small as I can and as flat as I can. So I'm going to kick up my travel speed, and I'm going to keep it as small inside my bevel as I can, so that I can hit it with the grinder. That way the plate will sit flat down in the tray, and then I'll be able to tack it in there so that it's not going anywhere. So let's get these welded out. Alright, so Bridger's working on cutting the legs right now. They're 26 inches long and they'll be welded on the corners like so. We'll get those tacked up, and then I'm not going to weld them out because we got some angle we're going to put in the middle, and then we'll have a shelf underneath. We're also going to cap these feet. I just think it gives them a nice finished look. Alright, so we'll start getting these tacked up and go from there. Alright, so while Bridger's finishing up cutting the rest of the tube for the shelf, I've got some material here. It's just 3x3 by quarter. I'm going to go ahead and use the iron worker here to shear the foot caps. Okay, so I want to show you guys how I like to lay out base plates, feet, anything like that. This is another reason you want to have a whole arsenal of squares, because there's different things you can do with different squares. So these little tri-squares are pretty handy. And so what I like to do is I know that these are 3x3, and I know that our tube is 2x2. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch overhang around the whole thing. So what I'll do is I'll go just a little bit less than half because of the width of the soapstone. So I'll go a little bit less than 1/2 inch on my ruler here. Then I'll take and clamp this to the table so it doesn't move. Then I'll take my soapstone, and I only have to do this to 2 sides. I don't need to do it to all 4. There's really no reason to. So I'll go that way. It's easier on this side, so I'll go this side. Now I've got 2 lines here, so I'll throw it on the leg, square it up to this mark, tack it on, weld it out, and I'm done. Just one of those things that I like doing it this way because it's quick, it makes it nice and square, saves you time. Anyway, just wanted to show you guys that. We're going to mark our top of tube at 12 inches. That should give us enough room to be able to stack some of that smaller material. So I'm just going to take my square and transfer my lines. Okay, now we're ready to tack. Whew, music to my ears. Okay, so it's all tacked up. Now we'll turn the welder up because this is 4-inch plate. Now I'll go ahead and weld the caps up. We'll get those knocked out. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we got her all stood up. Feels good. It's nice and stable. So we'll be able to stack material on here. We'll take a piece of 1/8-inch plate, set it in here, and then we'll have somewhere to stack our stainless and aluminum and those. We'll have somewhere to stack our stainless and aluminum and that kind of stuff. So up until now we just kind of stacked it in the corner, and I don't like how unorganized it is. So we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. We'll have a shelf to put the air dryer and the plasma on for our burn table, and then we'll be able to stack stainless and aluminum. We can slide it in this way, we can stack it on here. So I think it's gonna work out good. Since I've got it standing up right now, I'm gonna go ahead and fit these caps for the feet, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so Bridger's got the plate all set up. We're going to cut the plate for both shelves. He's already laid this out. So this is something else that's been good for Bridger to learn, is layout. Layout is a huge part of fabrication, and you got to be able to hit your mark. Otherwise, it takes you 3 days, it costs more money. This is another good skill for somebody to learn that is starting out. The better you can fit something and lay something out, the better fabricator you'll be. So he's done very well laying this out. I've checked his measurements, they're right on the money. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut this. I'm gonna have Bridger try and cut this and see how it goes. He's giving me the eyeball, but he's gonna cut it. We'll see how steady his hand is. You know, if we had the table, every project we do now, that's the problem with getting a table, is now every project until the table gets here, we're always like, if I just had a table. A table! So, we're trying to hang in there, we're trying to keep it together. We're gonna see if we can't keep it together and cut this piece of plate. No, you're not straight up and down. There you go. Keep it. Yeah, go ahead. Okay guys, so we had some extra expanded metal, and I think it looks pretty sweet on here. It's going to be perfect for what we're doing, and for a shelf to stack material on, this is going to be good because all the bandsaw grit and dust and everything will fall through this, and we'll be able to sweep the floor. Not to mention, I think it looks cool. So we're going to go ahead and have Bridger practice his tacking skills. So we're going to have him hit each one of these spots where the expanded meets the outside corner, and we'll just have him do the whole way, all the way around. I'll help him get it tacked down at like, I don't know, 10 or 12 places, and then I'll just have him go to town. So that's the plan. So we're going to go ahead and get this tacked up now. Alright guys, I think we got this one pretty much finished up here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm saying about the caps on the feet. It just gives it a nice finished look. That's kind of the look that I prefer. So we got plate in the top. We just did 4 tacks underneath here. They're probably more than tacks. More like stitch welds. Bridger did those. Turned out good. Bridger tacked all these for the expanded. Looks good. I think it's a pretty neat looking little shelf, little rack thing. Me and Bridger are gonna haul this over there and set it up where it's gonna live and take a look at how we did. Grab the broom. Sucks.
I know. I'm gonna go get the bike room.
It's because the walls warped.
Right, we can send you over there.
It's solid. If it doesn't teeter, I like that. Okay, so we got our rack in place here. It doesn't wobble. It's solid. So I think we did good getting it level with the feet and everything. As you can see, we did put a couple holes here. The studs are every 24 inches in my walls, so we'll be able to put some lags in that to keep it from tipping over or anything. There's, you know, going to be $6,000 worth of equipment sitting on this shelf, so definitely don't want to risk tipping it over. So I think it turned out well. It was a good project because we had to get it done to be able to continue forward with the airline stuff and getting the air dryer set up. I also enjoyed it because I was able to build it with Bridger. Bridger was able to cut the plate with the plasma. He tacked the expanded on. He welded the plate on top in place. So it was just a good project. It's going to take us another couple days to get the piping ran over and the manifold set up and the air dryer set in place and plumbed up. So appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. And we'll see you on the next one. We are going to start working on the airline today, and we're going to start, but the first item, we are going to start working on the airline today, but the first order of business, I'm choking. When you run short, and then the plat